I'm Charlotte Haggerstadt, a Principal Legal Advisor at Make UK, and in this short video, recorded on the 9th of July 2021, I'll be discussing home and hybrid working arrangements and their implications for employers in anticipation of the government announcement that the general instruction that everyone should work from home where possible will shortly be lifted. I'll begin by briefly explaining what we mean when we refer to home and hybrid working. I'll then touch on some of the issues that employers will need to consider if they receive a request from an employee for a longer-term home or hybrid working arrangement, or if they're thinking of requiring home or hybrid working instead of requiring a full return to the workplace. As I'll explain later in the video, it can be helpful for employers to have a policy explaining how home and hybrid working arrangements will work. Make UK have produced a template policy which you can use for this, which I'll introduce in this video. At the end of the video, I'll provide details of where you can access the template policy, as well as other Make UK resources and support. So to start off, what do we mean when we refer to home and hybrid working? Home working is generally understood to describe the situation where an employee's main place of work is their home address. Hybrid working describes the situation where an employee splits their working hours between their home and the employer's premises. This could be on the basis of specified days of the week, hours of the working day, or on a more flexible basis. Now, not all roles are suitable for home or hybrid working. For example, some jobs on factory production lines simply can't be performed from home. However, technological advances mean that many more roles can now be performed remotely than was the case in the past. In addition, the experience of the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated to many of us that certain types of work, particularly screen-based work, may lend themselves well to home working. There are various factors that employers may wish to take into account when considering whether a particular role is suitable for home or hybrid working. These could include whether the role involves using equipment that's only available at the employer's premises, the degree of personal interaction required with colleagues or third parties, and whether that could be conducted as effectively on a remote basis, the level of supervision that's required, the impact on colleagues, and whether working at home is compatible with business needs. Current employees whose contracts of employment provide that their place of work is the employer's premises do not have any automatic legal right to work from home, either some or all of the time. For employees who've worked at home throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, while the government guidance to work from home if possible has been in place, there will have been no change to their contract. Their remote working is simply a temporary arrangement based on applicable health and safety guidance. Legally, their place of work remains the employer's premises. Employees who continue to work from home following the end of the government guidance may, however, develop an expectation that they remain entitled to work from home in the longer term, especially if their employer doesn't communicate an intention to have them return to work at the employer's premises at some point in the near future. So whether or not there's been a variation of an employee's contract in these sorts of cases was going to depend on the circumstances and the length of time for which they continue to work remotely after the government guidance has been removed. We recommend that you seek advice on your particular situation. Employees with at least 26 weeks continuous service are legally entitled to make a statutory request for flexible working, and a request for contractual home or hybrid working arrangements would count as such a request. There is a specific legal regime governing how employers must handle such requests, which sets out limited permitted reasons for refusing them. Now, handling formal flexible working requests does involve a degree of administration. So, employers that are generally happy to allow employees who've been working remotely during the pandemic to move to a more official home or hybrid working arrangement going forwards may prefer to facilitate a less formal process for employees to request that sort of change, particularly where those employees aren't also seeking to change the days or hours that they work. But don't forget, if you turn down a request, you'd still need to have one of the permitted reasons for refusing a statutory flexible working request. Where the employer agrees the employee's request for home or hybrid working, there are likely to be changes to the employee's contract to reflect the new home or hybrid working arrangements, and also certain consequential changes. It's likely to be relatively straightforward for the employer to effect these changes where the employee made the request for home or hybrid working. If an employer requires to wishes to require existing employees whose contracts provide for them to work at the employer's premises to move to home or hybrid working on a more long-term basis, despite the end of the work at home if you can instruction, this is going to amount to a change to their terms and conditions. So in order to avoid legal risk, employers should take care to seek agreement and follow an appropriate process when implementing any such changes. Finally, on this slide, where an employer takes on a new employee on a home or hybrid working arrangement, this should be set out in the contract of employment at the outset. In some cases, employers may recruit specifically for a home or hybrid worker, while in others they may be willing to implement home or hybrid working arrangements where requested by the new recruit. Certain aspects of home and hybrid working arrangements will need to be included in employees' contracts. The most obvious is to state the employee's place of work, as this is one of the particulars that must be included in the written statement provided by the employer under Section 1 of the Employment Rights Act 96, a Section 1 statement. For fully home-based employees, the contract would specify that the employee's place of work is their home address. For employees who enter into a hybrid working arrangement, the contract could, for example, specify two workplaces, the employer's premises and the employee's home address, and it may set out how the employee's time will be split between the two. There are various other provisions that should also be covered in the employee's contract, and it can be equally helpful for these to be set out in the home and hybrid working policy as well. A few examples of this, which are set out in the Make UK Template Home and Hybrid Working Policy, are set out on this slide, and they include a requirement for an employee to attend the employer's premises from time to time, or for hybrid working arrangements at additional times when they would normally work at home. For example, to attend meetings or a training session, or for an operational reason such as covering for a colleague. Details of equipment that will be provided by the employer, who will be responsible for the costs associated with home working such as heating, lighting, internet access, and what, if any, additional expenses the employee can claim for. Confidentiality and data security provisions emphasising that it is the employee's responsibility to keep the business's confidential information and any personal data they deal with in their role secure in their home, and circumstances in which the home or hybrid working arrangements can be terminated by the employer. For example, when changes to the employee's role or the employer's organisation make the arrangement impractical, or where the employee's performance or conduct drops below required levels. A home and hybrid working policy can also address other matters that might not be included in an employee's contract, such as information on how home and hybrid workers will be supervised and supported and how appraisals will be conducted, since line managers won't necessarily have the same visibility over the work as they do for colleagues who work fully at the employer's premises. Or provisions to promote employees' well-being, for example encouraging them to take breaks to which they are entitled and giving them details of where they can access support if they need it. Working from home can lead to feelings of isolation, which can affect an employee's mental health, and some employees might find it difficult to maintain appropriate boundaries between their home and working life, and that can lead to a potential risk of work-related stress. Again, our template home and hybrid working policy includes relevant provisions in these areas. I hope you found this short video helpful. Details of where you can access the template policy, as well as other Make UK resources, and how you can contact us if you need further guidance, are shown on this slide. Thank you very much for listening.